Hi friends, this is a Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. I had a friend of mine ask me to show you how to make tortillas. So that's what we're going to do. The simplest ingredients make some of the most amazing memories. My mother, let me step back just a little bit. My mother had 14 kids. 14 single birth healthy kids. I had one. Well, in raising her kids, I mean, this woman, really, that's all I have to say. No one has amazed me more like my mother, and I bet you say the same. She had 14 kids, a household to run, a husband, and then she worked as well. So yeah, and here I complain when my plate is full. What a wuss. Okay, well, she has all these kids, and so we were helping. We were helping at a very young age. I remember 8 years old on a step stool with a spatula flipping tortillas that my sisters were rolling out and flipping and making and putting on, and then they would come up and just pinch them and turn them over with their hands, and I'm just thinking, oh, no, I don't want to do that. That's hot. But as you go, really, that's just how it turns out. A tortilla is in itself, it's kind of a bland treat, and it gets its flavor from the toasting when you put it on the comal, and that's really what the flavor is, because there's not, aside from salt, there isn't anything else. So I've got to add flavor. I'm not going to. This recipe here is going to be the absolute basic recipe. I had to make them yesterday just to get the measurements, because when my mother would tell us to make tortillas, it was like, get some flours and put some flour in a bowl and add some salt. Okay, well, how much flour? Enough. How much salt? Make sure that it tastes good. Well, how much lard? And yes, we used lard. Well, how much lard? Well, it depends on what you want. And I'm just looking at it, I'm going, I don't know what I'm supposed to be making. What is that recipe? No, the recipes were not used with my mother. It was some. Some was an equivalent measure. Enough was an equivalent measure. So I had to make them yesterday to give you the right measurements. It was tricky. It was tricky because first thing I did was reach for some flour. Old habits die hard, I guess. But I got it. I'm going to show it to you. And we did use lard. That's just what was done. I'm going to use lard today because that is what I know. But use shortening. If you're panicking about lard, don't panic. It's just a tortilla. Use shortening. You're gonna get the same result. A little bit different flavor, but. And then as I go along, I'll show you where to add different flavors for what you're making. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to add the different flavors and do different things with just the same basic tortilla dough. Okay, so I put these pictures yesterday on Facebook of the tortillas that I made, and I'm telling you, I always say food is memory. Food is memory. I think that's why I love cooking so much, is because it reminds you of so many things. Yesterday I'm making these tortillas and I'm rolling out the dough and I'm kneading it, and I'm thinking about my mother so much, and she passed about 30 years ago, and about a year or so from my dad, and so it's been a while. But man, this procedure yesterday and this recipe yesterday really brought her right back to me, and it was a good visit. It was a good visit. See? Not all tears are bad. But there's no crying in Bijou. So let's get started. Oh, I know what I want to tell you. People who, when they saw the pictures on Facebook, they had those same exact memories of, oh, my mother used to always make these. My grandmother used to always make these. So I love that it's the same thing with everybody. So let's get your memories going, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to tilt the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. You don't need to see this because this is where the good stuff is, okay? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get 3 cups of flour. There are recipes where you can use different flours and such, but remember, every time you change the recipe, you are going to change the flavor. So that might be exactly what you want, in which case, knock your socks off. They're your tortillas. So, okay. And then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Baking powder is what's going to give you that leveling, it's a leveling agent. So I need to make more baking powder. I'm almost out. Up in the corner up here, there's a video on how to make your own baking powder. And I'm going to use a generous, about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. This right here is where you're going to add your flavor. On this particular tortilla, the only flavor really is the salt and then the lard or shortening. But here is where you can add garlic, chopped grated garlic, and everything has to be very fine. You can use tomato paste, sun-dried tomato chopped up, really minced, basil, parsley. This is where you would add your flavor. So you're just going to mix those things, and this is a messy job. Kind of a fun job for me, and this is where I was really getting my memories of my mother yesterday. And then you're going to add a 1/3 cup of, I'm going to say lard, but you go ahead and add your shortening. And again, I'm only doing this because this is what an authentic tortilla is. So you're going to cut it up with your hands. That's it. And lard actually is incredibly flavorful, as you can imagine. And yeah, some people just wince at the word, so then don't use it, you know. But like I say, I made them yesterday with shortening, and they were absolutely fine. This recipe will make probably 11 to 12 good portioned tortillas. And you don't want them too thin. If they're too thin, they're going to be crispy. But let me tell you, if that's what you want, you go ahead and make them thin. What you can do, especially when you flavor them, roll them really thin, and then deep fry them. And you've got some pretty good flavored chips. All right, and then we're going to add a cup of water. When you add the water, you want to make a little bit of a well. And you're going to add, I don't know, maybe about half of it. And here comes the yucky part. It's not yucky, it's kind of fun. Okay, once that part's been incorporated, then go ahead and add the rest. And I'm not going to fast forward this just because I really want you to see how it comes together. And it's messy and it's sticky, but it's feeling really good. Now, the part that I will go back and forth with, you're going to have to knead this. You'll knead it for about 10 minutes, and you really will see it change. That's the part that I, as a little girl, I liked doing it because it was fun, but after a while it was like work, and I didn't like doing that part anymore. So my mother would step in to get the job done because I would just be playing. Oh, the things we grow out of, I'm telling you. All right, so this is good, and we are going to knead this. Now, when you're kneading, what you're really doing is you're just using the palm of your hand right here. You're picking it up, you're pushing it down, and you're kind of sliding it. Let's see if you got that. Pick it up, push it down, and you just, the ball of your heel is the only part that's really doing all the work. Just keep turning it around, working it in, and kneading. So I'm going to continue this for about 7, maybe 8 minutes. And I know you don't want to sit here and watch this, but let me do this again. So you've got this dough, and it's A little gunky, but not really. You see it comes off on your hand, so you're good. That's how when you know you're ready to roll it. You're gonna pick it up, push it down, and then this part right here is going to slide it. Okay? Pick it up, push it down, and slide it. That's how you need. All right, let me go ahead and continue on with this. Alexa, start the timer for 8 minutes.
Start timer, 8 minutes, starting now.
You gotta love technology. Okay. I actually love kneading, but that's a lot of work. That's like, yeah, right. Anyway, so this is what your ball is going to look like. It's going to look like a brain. It's good. It's set. Now I'm going to make the little dough balls, which is going to form our tortillas. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to, just for the sake of making it easier to work with, roll it in a bit of a log and then pinch off a knot. How much? That's about a good size. So I don't know, it's bigger than a golf ball, I guess. I honestly don't know. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to roll it in a ball and let it sit. But here's how you're going to do it. Much like kneading, how you're pushing it down, you're doing the same thing with the side. I'm going to have to, so I'm just going round and round in circles. Okay, so that's it. That's a good dough ball. I'm gonna have to show that. I'm gonna show that to you because I want you to see exactly what I'm doing, and you'll feel by the weight. So let's see. I don't know. Let me, 1/4 cup. Okay, so this is a 1/4 cup measuring cup. So that's about a hearty 1/4 cup. Don't try. That's not gonna work to try to just scoop out a cup. But just for an eyeball. Okay, that's about a good size. If you want to stick to just a 1/4 cup, they'll be smaller, but that's all right too. So you're just going to go in a circle with your, there's a lot of flour on this board. All right, so just around and around. What am I doing? Let me see. I'm pushing and molding. I'll show that to you. I'll show that to you in slow motion so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not just rolling a ball, because when you just roll a ball, you're going to get a very wonky ball. So there's a purpose for everything. All right. So I'm going to continue rolling these, and I don't know. I like them bigger. So you do whatever, you know, if you have a bunch of people to feed, then you probably don't want them that big, but I like just the average size tortilla, I guess. Gosh, I don't even know how to measure how I'm doing it. Some things are just so habit that it hurts to think. So let me finish these up and then I'll tell you what's next. So I'm using the side of the palm of my hand to push the dough down and towards the center. It sounds complicated, but you'll get it. Give it a couple tries and you'll see. It's just going round and round. Okay, and that's the last. I got about 10, I think. So then I'm going to take a damp, not wet, well, not real wet, a damp paper towel, and just cover them, because I'm going to have them set for about 10 minutes. After that, we're gonna go roll them out. So in the meantime, I am going to, where did you go? You guys don't go on a roller coaster ride with me. You'd be bored, I think. Okay, I'm gonna go heat up the comal. I want that nice and hot, and then we'll roll them out and then eat them. Yeah, that's the best part. All right, it's been about 10 minutes and we are ready to rock. So I'm just gonna take a dough ball, and they're nice and pliable, very soft, but not sticky. You worked all that sticky stuff out. So you're gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour, and you don't wanna use a whole lot of flour because that's gonna make your tortillas dry. So just a couple of pats. And every time you use a rolling pin, you wanna dust that as well. And I'll be doing that a few times. I need room here. And just roll it out. And don't worry about, you know, it not being round. Trust me. Not everyone makes them round right off the bat. My sister did when she started. I mean, that was just dumb luck. But I think I had the map of Africa and New Guinea and New Zealand, and I mean, I had all sorts of shapes going. So you're just pushing down and towards you. I'll do it again. And then down and away from you. And you're just going to keep on doing that until you get to the size you want, and you don't want them too thin. All right, I am good with that. And the thickness is, gosh, I don't know if you can see. It's not thick, but it's definitely not thin. So let me make a couple of, another thing with tortillas, which is really good, is that they're pretty pliable. So if you needed to stretch them out, go ahead. They're not going to break. I mean, unless you do the Stretch Armstrong kind of stuff. This is just flour and shortening, or yes, lard. So let me go ahead and make a couple more, and then we'll show you how to put them on the grill. So another thing you can do to flatten out your tortillas and to stretch them, you can just flap them back and forth, and what you're doing is you're throwing the dough over to stretch it out. I know, right? So you're throwing it over to stretch it out and working it around. That's what you see these old viejitas doing. Me. And then you're going to stretch out your tortilla. So that's a good little trick. Okay, so once you have your comal hot, and a comal is just a cast iron, well, a cast iron griddle. So it doesn't have to be cast iron. You can use a pan that's big enough. It doesn't matter, but this is just my comal. It's a cast iron comal, and it's got grill marks on the other side. I clearly need to re-season this, but I'll do that after I'm done. So we've got our tortillas here. They're nice and pliable and ready. This is hot, so it's gonna take probably about 3 or so minutes on the first side, and I don't know, maybe a minute or 2 on the other side. What's happening really is it's just toasting. Bubbles are going to come up because of the baking powder that we use. It's going to activate it, and then we're going to flip it. And when we're done, we're going to put it in, cover it with a cloth of some sort. So let's let that sit. Okay, this looks good. I flipped that one over and added another one on, and these suckers are hot. So remember, I'm just toasting it. So while that's being toasted, this is going to continue cooking, and you're just going to get this circle going and cover it with a cloth. How's that for production? So I'm going to continue doing this, and then as we get closer to the end, I'll catch you up. There you have it, my friends. Fresh homemade tortillas. It's warm and soft and toasty and good. Tastes like home. That's a good memory. All right, my friends, until next time, happy baking.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.